This video is about this company that got $1.5 billion in funding, an AI company that I think has a really good chance of being doomed to failure. And I'm going to make that case throughout this video. I think it's a pretty strong case, and it has a lot of implications going forward for, especially if you are running a business and you're considering, or you're an investor. I think this is actually a critical concept that I really don't see touched on. I see people kind of lightly touch on it, but never really dig into it and pick it apart and understand the implications, because I think that this is where AI will go long term. And I think I can make a really strong case for that. So first, let's take a look at what Pi, so what it's trying to do. Be a teacher, a coach, a confidant, a creative partner, and a sounding board. It's a lot of different stuff. You can actually go to pi.ai right now and use it. And it looks like every question that I do. So, can you keep the conversation history up in all of your listeners? I don't think I can actually, I can't actually. I can't. Oh, there we go. Now I can scroll up. It wasn't obvious that I could scroll up. But this doesn't really seem that different from ChatGPT. I'm sure that they have some sort of different technology on the back end. It's not really my main issue with it, although it is part of it that it tries to be just kind of like a different ChatGPT. That's not really the issue. So in order to understand the issue, I do kind of want to. There's a few concepts that I want to talk about real quick that help lay the case out for what you can really interpret and why I think that this kind of company and a lot of companies like it are doomed to failure. So what I've been seeing since ChatGPT came out is basically two extremes of this scale of slapping ChatGPT on things into old systems. So now with ChatGPT, how many times have you seen that? That's not really very useful. Maybe it's a little bit useful, like, oh, I have it in the web browser. It can kind of read the page. It's a little bit useful, but that's not really, to me, that's only barely scratching the surface of the potential of artificial intelligence. And then you have on the other end of the spectrum, you have companies like OpenAI that are trying to create these super broad models that are going towards potentially AGI that can do a wide range of things pretty well. Some things actually really well, especially like factual and very kind of structured things. ChatGPT, GPT-4 specifically, and some other of the better models are actually really good at that. But where I see a lot of the opportunity and where I think very little time is spent working is here in the center, and I think this is actually where the money is. So what I will say is that I think that that is really on the table that for almost all things that narrow AI models are always going to be better than more broad AI models at the things that they're trying to do. I'm trying to draw this. I think this is on the table that forever, or for a very long time, that narrow AI models are just going to be better. And why? Why is this? So really, when you look at it, let's look at first. There's a concept of more data is not always better. In fact, it can actually hurt things. And so if you envision having a data set that has a specific task and that's it, and then you add unrelated data into it, that actually makes the model results worse. All right, so let's envision so one quick point here is that if you look at, here's the data training set, you need the stars here, you need a certain amount of language data. So there's sort of a minimum cost here. So it's not like you can take the data down to 10 data points and 10 parameters, and that's going to do anything. That's not enough. You need assuming it's a large language model, you need a language or some sort of base, maybe pictures or sound or something to put into the model that is independent of how narrow you make your use case. Then there is use case specific data, and I have this minus extra data because the extra data actually, to some extent, could take from the use case specific data. Not always. There are some ways in which the model can kind of mine for that use case specific data. but it's still better overall to just, if you're gonna just use it for that use case, to just clean out all that data. So imagine needing 10,000 times less data, which means way less cost to build and run. And then also it's probably going to be way faster. It's going to be better and more reliable. There's not going to be extra tangents for it to go on. So even if there is, you think that a lot of times the model, it's going to find the most relevant data, and you think, oh, well, it's okay that it has this because it's going to just find the most relevant data in there. Well, not necessarily, because sometimes with the way the models work, there's some randomness here. So sometimes it might actually go over here, like 1 in, even if it's just 1 in 100 times. Or, it might predict a token that's just kind of unrelated. So you envision the more broad set of data, which is 10,000, again, this is just a simple example, the numbers might actually be bigger, 10,000 times more data, which means way more cost to build and maintain. It's slower. The results are worse, and they're less, even if you do get some good results, they are less reliable. So what I suspect will happen is that these things will scale together. You think, oh, but the general models are going to get better. Okay, but that also means that the narrow models are going to get better. So, and the narrow models might actually get better faster. I think that there's a reasonable chance that they'll just kind of like go up together, broadly speaking. And so the implication of that is that the narrow models will always be better. So let me circle back around to this company that is getting a bunch of funding, and I look at like they want to be a teacher, a coach, a confidant, a creative partner, a sounding board. I feel like there's a lot of companies like this now. Again, I think there's going to be an exception with OpenAI. There's going to be some big, broad companies that really can be used for a wide range of use cases or with good prompt engineering and stuff like that. But I think that it's a mistake in most cases to not just like narrow your focus. Try to be just a teacher. Try to be just a confidant. And there's probably even like subcategories and subcategories of that's even better to go for. That doesn't cost $1 billion. Maybe it only costs $100,000. But it's still, but it provides a better result to that specific scenario. And there's so many scenarios out there. If you envision like how many different pieces of software are there, how many different software companies are there out there, that's how many models there should be, maybe even more, right? In the future, that's what's going to be, I think, win the day most of the time. And what's great about this is, like, let's say you picked teachers, but you picked very math teachers, or even just like middle school math teachers, or 7th grade math teachers, something like that, or algebra math teachers, right? You had a model that was just for that. If you crush it with that and that works really well, a business can always expand from there. It seems much more reasonable and less expensive and less risky and more reliable to just kind of narrow your focus on that. And that's why, I've seen a lot of these companies, seen the news, get like $100 million in funding. I think that most of them will not work out. I think there's going to be a handful of big general model companies, and then a bunch of narrow models. Even if we get to this crazy scenario where there's AGI, there's a super intelligent, artificial sentient being or whatever, and it's like way more intelligent than any human ever, or all humans combined. I still think there will be narrow models that will be better or more cost-effective and faster and with more reliable results that it will be able to provide. You just can't. More data is not always better, and so I would caution anybody to more on the positive side. If you're gonna build a business, go for a narrow model. Find a very specific data set that all you do is you just only add use case relevant or very closely use case relevant data to the model. It requires way less money. It'll just be way faster. Anyway, let me know if you agree, if you have any comments or questions, or if you think that my logic is flawed, or if you think it's all about the broad model and there's going to be one model to rule them all, and what your logic is. I'd love to hear that. If you like videos like this, please like and subscribe for more awesome AI content. I hope you can go grab this money bag if you are, because there are so much opportunities here. There's almost unlimited. There's so much that's possible now that wasn't possible even just like a year ago, that you can go out and very inexpensively test and try and get some traction and build a multi-billion dollar business. While everyone else is either here or here, this is where I think this is where 99% of the money, or maybe 95% of the money is going to be made, at least in terms of like the quantity of businesses. Now there's probably going to be a handful of really big businesses like this, and then some less big but still very, very profitable businesses. This is going to be, I think, somewhere along the lines of 99%. So thank you very much. Let me know what you think. Have a great day. Bye.